Ryan, Perry, you grew a beard since the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
Your room looks a lot like Ryan's. That's so weird. But
Inspired by the aesthetic.
You got the banana in the background.
So he's Ryan, release radar on YouTube and a video creator. This is Perry.
I'm Perry Carl on Twitch and a streamer.
And this is Ryan.
I'm Ryan, or Release Radar.
Oh wait, no.
What are you doing? I'm so confused.
Hello everyone, this is Caleb Boudreau, the editor-in-chief of AnExtraordinaryLife.online, and today we have all four of us. We have Perry.
Otherwise known as Perry Carl, Twitch streamer.
Kyle.
Just known as Space Knot.
And Ryan.
I'm Ryan, or Release Radar on YouTube.
And as you can see, this is the first ever video portion or video podcast that we've done, which is kind of fun. So, yeah. Well, awesome. We have some very interesting topics for you today. We have things like patents in video games that kind of stifle innovation and otherwise just bring the industry back as a whole. We have Elden Ring's newest expansion. We have Xbox Game Pass coming to the Nintendo Switch, and the U.S. courts have dismissed a Switch Joycon drift lawsuit saying users agreed to a terms of service where lawsuits are not allowed. So we have some really fun things to talk about today. So, who wants to go first?
I kind of want to start with the Joy-Con thing because I haven't heard that much about this. So is it kind of a situation where they just hit it in the giant terms of service that nobody reads?
Basically.
But so what do you mean that a lawsuit's not allowed? Because I feel like that's kind of unconstitutional.
So according to this, an American judge has thrown a legal case out of the court regarding the infamous Joy-Con drift, as the judge stated that the complainants themselves have already agreed to Nintendo's end-user license agreement, which you accept when you set up your Nintendo Switch system, which states that the company disallows lawsuits.
What? I don't understand that. Just like, oh no, you can't sue us. We're fine. We'll pass.
Yeah, well, you can talk to us about it later. We're not going to take this one.
But who would sue them apart from the people who are using their product? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a great question.
And then Nintendo sues everybody all the time, right? Like,
yeah, and if you don't use their system, then how would you know it's a problem? So you can't sue them if you don't know that, like, you haven't experienced it, you know?
I guess you could ask a friend to sue them for you.
Fair.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I recall my business law professor saying something along the lines that there is, like, the rule of expectation. And, like, nobody expects you to read the whole thing, right? Because, like, let's say that you agreed to a terms of service for an app that doesn't exist. I'm not going to say one that does. But, like, somewhere in there, it's just like, by the way, we also have rights to your firstborn child if blah, blah, blah happens. Like, you have the reason to expect you're not going to give them your firstborn child, right? Like, that's, even though it's in the EULA and you technically agreed to it, nobody reads 500 pages of gibberish just to download an app. Like,
oh, I would hate to do that.
There's a case of that in housing contract here where they can write in the contract, for example, that they can do sort of no no notice inspections of the house and they can just come whenever they want. But there's a law protecting against that. So even if you sign that, say, yeah, that's fine, just chill, I'll give you a spare key, they actually can't do that at all, like, anyway. So I imagine there must be some sort of preventative, but clearly not. Clearly there isn't, if that's the court's decision.
Well, I know the last time they threw everything out was in 2020, and it was just because they told them it had to be settled in arbitration. So they basically, the judge was saying, "Hey, this isn't something we need to hear. Just figure it out on your own," type of thing. Which is still kind of odd, because that doesn't seem exactly like something Nintendo would want to settle out of if they didn't have to.
Yeah, and Nintendo controllers aren't the only controllers that have like the drift. I know it's horrible on the Joy-Cons, but
it's most common on Joy-Cons based off of the joystick design that they use, which was very common on the PS Vita and also the PSP that use the same style. Those always had stick drift just based in its design.
Did they do it that small just because it's another handheld like those two?
Yeah, and it was the size or the dimensions that they had to be constrained with.
I mean, doesn't the Steam Deck have the same issue as well?
No, the Steam Deck uses the same joysticks like Xbox controllers and PlayStation controllers. So it's less common to happen, but it still can.
So clearly they have a way to fix this, and it seems easy if other places are doing it, and there's a precedence for this problem.
Well, for the Joy-Con itself, I mean, it's simply just replacing its little internal piece, whereas on like an Xbox or a PlayStation controller, you have to replace the whole main board, or you can spend time desoldering the joystick.
I think also one of the awful things was the fact that they were also charging people for replacements, even though they knew that it was their fault.
Yep. They did claim that they refunded everyone that had been charged when they went to the free repair. But who knows?
Yeah,
and
that's
then
still kind of sketchy.
They didn't update it with a newer rendition of the Switch either. Like with the Switch OLED, they could have came with a different joystick design, but they used the same exact joystick design.
Yep.
And that really bothered me because they knew it was a problem all the way up to the release of the OLED, but they're just like, nah, we're fine.
And to make it worse, it's the same mechanism used in the Switch Lite, which also has stick drift.
And you can't take that one apart very easily either.
No, you can't. Unlike with the Steam
You can't
Deck.
change the joystick. You can't change the Joy-Cons or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're like built into the console, right?
Yeah.
Dang, that sucks.
I wonder if there's a joylessness that's kind of coming into a lot of big gaming industries, like maybe like Nintendo. I don't know. I don't want to make any sweeping statements that kind of it's become a little bit of a cash grab in places, and the I guess sanctity of the art or whatever might be slipping a little bit.
I mean, to be fair, this is Nintendo. This is the same company that will completely destroy you if you just emulate a game that you own physically.
Yeah.
Or have their music.
Did you hear that they were trying to stop streamers from playing Nintendo games? And then that didn't go through.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a whole thing for a while. They weren't allowing streamers, or they started to try not to allow streamers on Twitch from playing their games.
That is wild.
Which is crazy. That's the whole thing.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
What does that benefit?
Streamers definitely bring more people to the games than they take, I'm sure.
Well, no, back on the cash grab, I mean, yeah, maybe Nintendo did it as a cash grab, but we got to remember Microsoft with the Elite 2 controller. It is completely
I love that controller, okay?
unserviceable.
Fair.
It's
Okay.
glued together,
I
and
didn't
it
think about
has
that.
the exact same joysticks that are known to fail in their Series 2 controllers. So, I mean, in a Series 2, it's like 5 or 6 screws and you have it pulled apart. The Elite 2 controller, you need to take a heat gun to it. So,
I mean,
maybe, and that's what, a $200 controller?
Yep.
Exactly.
Can confirm. Hopefully they pull the DualSense Edge approach, and whenever they make the third generation, they can kind of allow for hot swappable joysticks to make that less of an issue.
Or even do it as like how Valve did with the Steam Deck. You can open it up. It's 8 screws. Back panel comes off, and then it's a couple screws and a ribbon cable to replace the whole joystick assembly.
Yeah, you
that's
can
not bad
literally
at all.
buy on Amazon just like other joysticks for the Steam Deck.
Still need to do that for you, by the way.
Nah, it's funny. He's like, "Hey Ryan, buy these joysticks. I'll come over and replace them." It's been like almost 6 months. I mean, in your defense, we've both been busy. So.
Yeah, we both work. Well,
I do college full time and
Yeah,
YouTube
college.
for work, but you work full time.
college is work.
Yeah, no, it's exhausting having to learn something new every freaking week. I'm so ready to be done.
That's what I do.
But like back,
See, I just do
yeah.
that for fun.
I learn
Yeah,
new
I
stuff
mean-
every day.
Well, if it was something I was interested in, I'd enjoy it. Like, I want to buy another instrument. I want to learn how to play the piano. You can see behind me, I have like 8 guitars. But I also at the same time don't need another expensive hobby.
I also
Fair.
think just
I
the
don't
fact
talk
of someone telling you that you need to learn this kind of kills it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, grammar, very important for like professional things, but I'm a college student right now. Like, I am almost done with college, and there's this class that we're taking, and I'll try to make this tangent short, but there's this class that we're taking to learn grammar again because so many people speak and write with like textling now. And so like I've personally seen college level essays with like, "Yo dog, this guy was pretty chill, man," and stuff like that,
No.
like written out
That is
college
horrible.
level. And I'm sitting here like I don't know what to say to this guy. Like, the whole thing sucks, man. Try again. Like,
They
but like
yeah,
I understand why the class is there, but for those of us who don't have horrible grammar, I just kind of sit there on my phone the entire time, and I have an A.
yeah, maybe it should be some sort of focused thing.
Maybe you should have to take a test to see whether or not you need the class. I would be fine with that.
There is one for community college. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
I-
amazing.
I've
Such
gone to
an
community
undertaking.
community college. Did 2 semesters of business, and yeah, didn't like it. Didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I was there for 5 semesters and graduated with a associates with applied science, so it was worth it. I'm smart enough.
Stuff like that
So-
always helps.
Yeah.
You can just write it down.
No, but
Yeah.
like
Pretty
speaking
much.
of business, the whole thing that these companies do, like Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft, is they do all sell their consoles at a loss. So I don't even understand why they're trying to cut corners with cost saving when they are already losing money on the sale of every console, because they want you to get into their ecosystem, and that's where they make the real money with the Nintendo eShop or the Xbox Live Store, the Sony Store, the PlayStation
Yeah.
Store. And like also the Switch, I feel like is more marketed towards kids compared to like the Xbox or the PlayStation, and kids aren't careful with their stuff, and they have the worst joysticks on their device. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
Because they can buy more.
They get money from the repair.
They break them.
Yeah.
They can get another Joy-Con, or they can get another Switch with the Switch lights. That's why they were made in all the pretty colors, so that the kids could buy them and then have to replace the whole thing.
I'm totally not looking at the atomic purple Switch light right now.
How many different colors of the Switch Lite are there?
I think there's 11.
Good lord.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, looking at this, it says 11 other Switch colors. There's probably more than 11.
They always
So-
do that. The DS was the same way.
Yeah.
I love
And all the
DS.
special
Mine still
editions and
works.
stuff. I remember working at GameStop, the Nintendo 64 special edition for the 3DS. It's great.
Let's see all.
So speaking of the Switch, Xbox Game Pass on Switch.
Oh, yeah. So, not technically Game Pass on Switch yet. Microsoft is planning to bring Call of Duty to the Switch, kind of like they did with Black Ops 1 in the Wii/Wii U era. But it is hinted that Game Pass will be coming to the Switch because if Activision Blizzard gets acquired by Microsoft, why doesn't that just say bring Game Pass to the Switch? Because it's already on, what? I don't even remember.
Yeah, but if
everything,
they do it-
basically.
But if they do it the same way as they did on the DS and the Wii and the GameCube and everything, and it's a chopped down version of it, then that's a
Yeah.
whole nother development cost. That's a
Yep.
whole other. So
Mhm.
why not just, you know, make it. Oh, they'll probably use the XCloud system.
Yeah, they're probably going to use that system.
Yeah, they said it's going to be content parity between
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that have Call of Duty on it, and they're basically doing this so Sony can just shut up and let them buy Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Because Sony doesn't care about Diablo or World of Warcraft.
Oh,
the
no,
one
it's Call
thing
of
they
Duty.
care about them getting is Call of Duty. And Microsoft is just like, we will put this on everything. And Sony's like, I don't believe you. And like, here, Nintendo, 10-year plan. Our games come to you. And Sony's like, I still don't believe you. You're still going to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Game Pass is already on Microsoft's Xbox systems, the Xbox One, Series X/S, but it's also on PC, mobile devices, and I think also Samsung smart TVs. So if they
Which is
bring
how
it, what's up?
I was gonna say, which is kind of how Perry plays some of the games too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oolong.
one of the main things that I can see is if it goes to the Switch, why would you spend the $350 to $500 for a Steam Deck when you can just play all those games on a $200 Switch Lite?
Local content.
That is true. Local
But then the
content.
Series S.
If everything's on streaming,
Mm-hmm.
if everything can't be downloaded and it has to be streamed off the XCloud, you can't actually take it with you. You
That
can
is
just
true.
play it in bed.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I use my Steam Deck all the time. But
Then
if I
why
had-
wouldn't you just get a Series S though? Because those are like
I already
$230
have one.
bucks.
I already have one of those.
Because
But I can't play that in bed very easily.
you can't take a an Xbox Series S into the bathtub and relax and
Well,
You take
play
your
Call of
Steam
Duty.
Deck into the bathtub? What if you drop
no,
it?
I'm just saying.
That worries me so much.
no, when I was flying to Denver for work, I took it with me and I just played Death Stranding for hours. I don't even remember how many hours it was. It was like a 3.5 hour flight, and I just played it the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Got to the
Beat it
hotel and
twice.
just
It
kept
is an
playing.
incredible game.
It is so good.
I have a friend who takes it on the train for his commute every single morning.
Yeah.
It's great.
I take it with me to university because sometimes my professor's like 10 minutes late to class. So I just sit in the back playing like Call of Duty, or I stream Call of Duty from my computer to the Steam Deck since my
Yeah.
university isn't too far from me, and it works kind of well. Or I've been playing Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars as well.
Yeah.
Reliving my childhood.
Yeah. Well,
And see, that's kind of what you're losing with the XCloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have a great connection, or if you're taking it on the train, or if something, or on the plane, you lose that responsiveness of the local connection. So
but I mean, it would be a lot smaller and more compact than a Steam Deck. Which
And you
Fair.
also have
Be-
everything that's on the Nintendo store, and if you already
That is
had a
true.
Switch.
but
Whereas-
see, if
on Steam Deck you have to emulate everything.
Which
that point.
I can play Breath of the Wild on my Steam Deck, which I own a legitimate copy of, and I've played before on the Switch. So I have paid for the game, Nintendo.
Watch out, Nintendo will come for
I
you.
have played for the game. I do own it. I have a Switch.
I mean, I use my Steam Deck more than I use my Switch personally. My Switch has been sitting underneath my TV for like 2.5 years. I haven't touched it.
Me too. Yeah, same
To
story.
be
There's been
completely
no-
honest.
Well, there's been
it's
no
my
big
indie,
games.
it's my indie
There's, like-
console.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's really good for the small indie games like Hollow Knight or whatever. But then like the big budget Nintendo games on the Switch, we had like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. And then that's kind of like maybe Splatoon if you like Splatoon.
But
I'm not
hey-
into Pokemon, so I don't care about those. Like,
Remember, Breath of the Wild was on the Wii U.
you're right.
But see,
that-
even if that happens, though, like, what happens to the Logitech G Stream
We don't talk
or
about
G Cloud?
that. We don't talk about that.
So I think cloud gaming, and this might be a controversial take, but I think cloud gaming is the direction we're heading towards. I think it's the next step. Like we had discs, and then everything was downloaded over the internet, and cloud gaming's the next step. But we're not quite there yet. And the biggest problem with cloud gaming is for those people who live in areas that just have horrible internet connection. Because there are people who don't have a disc console, but it takes them 3 days just to download an update. And I feel really bad for those people if cloud gaming just becomes the norm. for everything. And I do think we're heading in that direction because I think there's going to be a lot of convenience to not ever have to worry about updating your games or updating your console or updating this. You never have to worry about having the latest hardware. It all just comes from the cloud directly to your TV or phone.
Or they can just ship a complete game. Just saying.
But like, well, what do you mean by that? Like,
I mean, okay, so like in PlayStation 2's days, you bought a game, you played the game, you finished the game, awesome. You didn't have to worry about updating it. But
well, I'm
like,
talking about more
as the
specifically
internet
like the
became,
hardware.
well, no, but what I'm saying is you said you don't have to worry about updating your games or anything like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
They could just ship a complete game that, you know, is finished whenever it comes out. Like, I will give Nintendo that. That is one thing that they do well.
Absolutely.
Is most of the time, whenever they ship a game, it's finished.
Yeah, they're very, very good at that. Yeah, and it can kind of stop. There's been a lot of that recently of very clearly unfinished games coming out. Like,
I did a whole YouTube video on it.
oh, really?
Hey, remember,
Yeah, like
update requires
Cyberpunk?
restart. Yeah,
Wait, what requires restart?
Update requires
Update
restart.
requires restart. In Call of Duty, when you download the update to the game, you have to open the game, and then it makes you restart the game again, and then you can play.
No. It's not. It's not after every update. It's every single time. Every day that you launch it, it has a mini update, and you have to redo it.
No, come on, it's every third match.
Fair.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
a $70 game, so it's okay.
The
but-
Steam updates are every 15 minutes, I reckon.
I actually
Like,
have one
it's
queued
insane.
right now. Like, it's just sitting here waiting
Yeah.
for me.
Well, doesn't Steam have to update every single time there's like new games added to the store?
Actually, no, because it just goes to its website. It's just a glorified web browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really understand what it's doing. I never really have.
It's all bug fixes for the Steam Deck
I believe that.
because it updates like every time you power it on.
Yeah, but I think games not being on disk anymore does kind of make sense because disks have a finite amount of data you can put on them, and some games are upwards of like 200 gigs. And I don't think you can fit 200 gigs on a disk. I don't know what the max file size is, but there is a limit.
On a Blu-ray, the limit is about 60 gigabytes. If you're on a 4K Blu-ray for the PS5 and Xbox Series, if you're telling me you cannot fit an entire game in 60 gigs, I mean, come on. Why aren't you like compressing? Because I mean, look at like
Modern Warfare 2 is 78 gigs.
Modern Warfare 2 is 78 gigs. You know how much data was actually on the freaking disc that they sold people?
It was an install disk. It just said, "Hey, here's your key."
It was a couple. Yeah, it was a couple. It was like a 200 megabytes or something like that.
Not even that. Well, I mean, like, look at Grand Theft Auto 5 disc edition for the PC. It's 7 discs. I don't own a single console with a disc drive. That is
But
true.
that was DVDs.
It was DVD, which was
And DVDs, you know,
like
didn't have that much data.
Yeah.
But in a world of consoles that are all going to 4K Blu-ray drives, that's 60 gigs.
Mhm.
I mean, you can fit entire games, and then, you know, you can have a game like Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5 that everything fits on a disc, but if you don't have internet connection, you cannot play the career mode.
Yep.
Why?
Like,
Why?
I agree with what you guys are saying, but then also as a business major, I know exactly why the companies are doing it. They don't want to spend the money on doing all of that stuff. They don't want to spend the money on
To make the
printing
games cheaper.
millions of discs. They want to just have you download it on your internet. Why would we spend the money making the case, the cover art, the disc? Why would we print 7 million of these if we expect that many sales when we could just make you download it? Like,
Forbidden West Collector's Edition.
So, God of War Ragnarok came with the steelbook case
Yep.
with a digital copy of the game.
Yep. So
Now
did
I
Forbidden
understand why it's shipped that way. I still get shit for it, but I understand why they shipped it that way because not everybody had a PS5, and the collector's edition gave you a PS5 and a PS4 copy. So you can buy it if you only have a PS4 and then get the upgraded game for free whenever you go up. So like I understand it, but I also understand like, hey, why didn't you give it, an option? But
well, I mean, all of my consoles are digital except for the Switch. But I mean, I haven't used a disc console since probably back when I decided to pull out my PS2 for a little bit.
well, doesn't your Series X have a?
It's a Series S.
Oh, you didn't get the X?
No. I won the Series S, so no complaints there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what entirely fits on a 4K Blu-ray drive? Or a 4K Blu-ray disc? The entirety of Elden Ring.
Really?
Which is mental, right? Because Elden Ring is like the most beautiful, maybe complex thing. Definitely the most complex game I've ever played, but that's not really saying much.
It's exactly 60 gigs. Wow.
I'm just looking at it.
Not only does it fit on a 4K Blu-ray, it also fits on a regular Bluray.
I love how you roll away from
He
the
just
desk
rolls away.
dramatically.
Drops the mic.
I was just looking at it. I could probably download half of my Steam library onto a Blu-ray because I have so many just indie games that are under a gigabyte. Oh, he has both copies. Look at him.
So the only reason why is because I purchased this one, and then my PS5 came with this, with the definitely a bundle from GameStop.
Oh, yeah, where they just tie in some random game they pull off the shelf.
Yeah, so I figure if worse comes to worse and somebody comes over and they want to play Elden Ring with me, I'll just put them on my PS4 Pro with the disc copy and have them log into their profile, and and we can play together.
Mm-hmm. I have
I started to
touch
play
that
Elden
game.
Ring.
I don't even own it.
I started it yesterday, like actually getting back into it.
Was it because of the expansion announcement?
Well, it's that, and it won Game of the Year, so like I have to give it a try. But it is my first FromSoft Souls game ever, and I am struggling.
Get prepared to die. If you want,
Yeah.
I can help you out with that. Maybe Perry
Yeah,
too.
well, so I want to be able to play it online because you can do the whole like multiplayer thing and play it with friends, but the
Yeah.
game doesn't have ultra-wide support. So you can get ultra-wide support through a mod, but if you play with a mod, you
can't go
have to
online.
play offline or you're going to get banned.
Yeah.
So it's very annoying. I can't play Elden Ring on my screen's resolution. A AAA 2022 Game of the Year game doesn't have ultra-wide support. It baffles me. But I could just do the thing. I have this thing where I can plug in my computer to like a little box over here, and then I can send the signal to my TV in the living room, and I don't have to like move my computer to play it on my TV.
That's nice.
So I could just do that and then
Yeah.
just play it with a headset on.
You just be like
So-
me and play Bloodborne because you're stuck on PS4 era.
Bloodborne has
Bloodborne
become
was
really
an-
popular recently.
Oh, I know.
People are,
Bloodborne
they're
is
really getting back into
fantastic.
it. I really
art
want to play it.
style
I've never
is
played
wonderful.
it. It's a great time
It
to
is
get
very
into.
good.
It's a fantastic time to get into Elden Ring and things because of all the hype about it and the DLC coming out. So they're
Yeah.
going to pay a lot of attention to updates and things like that. It's just, I think the way they've done the teaser for it is incredible because it's literally just a picture. And so many people have so many questions. And it's this, if you guys haven't seen it, it's the tree that looks like it's suffering from this death of light. And then you've got this
Yeah, it's called
mysterious...
Shadows of the Erd Tree.
Exactly. And they've got this mysterious blonde-haired woman that's riding on something that looks like Torrent, the horse, but I don't know.
Gonna be another maiden.
Yeah. I mean, there
Hey.
are so many guesses about it, and it's wonderful.
You're the maidenless one.
Brother.
If it makes it feel any better, I have 8 minutes in Dark Souls 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I
Wow.
have
So-
like 100 hours in Bloodborne. So,
So you,
Yeah.
you got to the first enemy in Dark Souls and was like, nope.
no, I rolled off the cliff and just uninstalled the game. To be completely honest.
that's-
Oh my god.
Well, so the thing with Souls games and FromSoft games is that I will say they have a very big cult following from the most hardcore fans, and if you're not good at it, they just say get good.
Yep.
But like I grew
good,
up
bro.
playing shooters, like first-person shooters. So going from pew 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 to having tiny sword and fighting some boss that's 13 stories tall that can kill me in one hit, but it takes me like 3,000 hits just to kill it. It's a big difference than just pew pew. And so
fair.
like I don't know anything about the game, and my buddy Jake actually came over yesterday. We recorded a guitar cover, and then I played some Elden Ring, and he watched me try to fight. It wasn't Margit; it's the other big boss at the beginning.
Godric.
the Tree Sentinel?
Yeah, And I got like 3 or 4 hits in and then just died. And then he almost killed the boss. But in my defense, he had the whole like attack pattern memorized.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
No,
That's what
yeah.
I'm realizing. That's the point of Elden Ring. It's not go in, kill it first try. It's go in, die, get a little further, die to a new thing, get a little further, die to a new thing,
And then second phase,
memorize,
and it's completely
then
different.
memorize the whole like structure of the boss. And then once you have all of its attack patterns down, then you can go kill it. But you're supposed to die to things you don't expect
Absolutely.
because.
Not even
But
that.
that's
there
what
are
pisses
so
me
many-
off, though.
No, but since I've started thinking of Dark Souls games as rhythm games, it's really helped me. It's kind of dancey, and a lot of the time there's you're supposed to. I recently beat the Dragon Lord Placidusax, one of the like later ones. But there's a point where he
I haven't found that one
rushes
yet.
down from you from the sky. And you're supposed to lock on and see him coming so you can dodge out of the way. But I got to the point where I didn't need to look at him anymore. I just knew the rhythm of it. 1, 2, 3, dodge. And I was just doing it, and it was just wonderful. And once you memorize that, once you get into it, it's the best feeling. I used to hate Dark Souls game for the exact same reason, because it was impossible.
Yeah.
Why would anyone enjoy this? It's just kind of some weird form of self-harm that I don't want to partake in. But now it's
mean,
great.
You can always find the player let me solo her.
Yeah.
Man, that is wild. Like,
And I checked up on this person because they kind of like fell out of like the popular mainstream like gaming news, and I looked up their account, and they're still doing it. Like they still live stream 1v1ing Milena with like a pot on their head.
Amazing. Yeah, I've recently been talking to the guy that made the really viral YouTube video of Let Me Solo Her, Evan, and he's absolutely just immersed in the community, and it's wonderful to hear about it from different angles and to hear about people from different stuff. And that's one of the great things about Dark Souls is, like you said, they have a really hardcore following, but that following is always so lovely, and they kind of value experimentation, which is why so many people do play it in so many different ways.
that's
I'm
awesome.
gonna need his help.
Sorry, I was.
I'm just saying this now. I know I'm gonna need his help.
No,
That's fine. There's no shame in this.
I was just
I just need to
reminiscing
beat Godric first.
about childhood playing Shadow of the Colossus.
That
I
never played it.
That
but I
was
watched
my
PewDiePie.
my hellscape.
Man,
That's what I played. Caleb knows what it is.
Another
He's looking
collector's
for it.
edition coming
Yeah,
out.
He's,
you
he's
can
pulling out the
say any
2018
game.
remaster.
oh,
You can say any game and
Special
it's on his
edition.
bookshelf.
special edition of the 2018 remaster.
Yeah.
with the
No, I'm talking about the PS2
The
2005.
original version.
Way back when. That
Yeah.
and Ico. Those were the games that I played.
I haven't played Ico, but I heard it was fantastic.
It was amazing. I'm actually planning on getting a PS2 Slim and hooking it up to our Samba network so I can have all of those games that I already have digitally ready to go on my PS2.
I would love that.
I'll have to send you a
That's
link
cool.
of what I'm talking about, and you'll see you'll understand.
Yeah, I have a few PS2 games right there
Oh yes.
that are
right,
fantastic.
right there, of
They're
course.
off screen.
Yeah, right there. No,
They're
no,
off screen
they're-
for
they're-
us. Or at
Oh,
least for
is
me.
it really?
Yeah, your
I
arm
see
just
him.
cuts off.
Yeah, if I had full screen, I can see it.
Oh, gotcha.
What was I typing?
But yeah,
There we go.
because we started branching out to older games, so I would purchase the game and emulate it, and just being able to uncap that frame rate is fantastic. But what do you guys think
yes.
the Elden Ring expansion is going to be?
There are
I mean, I don't know how the game
many-
ends.
So
so
many
I-
theories. Yeah.
Please don't spoil.
There you go.
No,
Caleb.
no, there's
Well, if it's
Yeah.
anything like Bloodborne, like I wonder if they're gonna hide the expansion, because in Bloodborne you can get to it to like the expansion, but you have to find it.
I think definitely they're going to do that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because and there's already so much stuff like that. It's going to be a little portal somewhere in a field or in a tower. And they're
Like
not
if
going
I
to tell you where it is.
remember, if
What
I
if it's the
remember,
place
you
in
had
the
to
photo?
find a specific key after beating a specific boss and go to a place that you've gone past like hundreds of times. But now that you have this key, something glows, and you put it in and it transports you there. Like it's
Interesting.
weird.
I don't know if they'd put it
It's been
behind.
a while.
If they put it behind like a boss like that, I mean, I can see them doing that.
Yeah, they do that constantly.
And I think there's correct me if I'm wrong on this, there's a Dark Souls precedent for doing prequels more so than anything else. So that's what people are guessing that this will be. It's a going back in time to
I don't
the place
know
of...
if they've ever done a prequel, but
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not huge into the only Dark Souls that I've actually gotten into were Bloodborne, which was my first platinum, Sekiro, which I couldn't finish, and then Elden Ring.
I never played Sekiro.
I heard it was good.
It's great, but goodness gracious, is it difficult.
Yeah.
But like that's the point of their games. They're supposed to be difficult, but you can overcome the challenge if you just try. Like that's what it is.
Game of the Year edition's only $60. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
That's why people say that Elden Ring is kind of Dark Souls on easy mode, because you can make the challenge as hard or as easy as you want by just doing other things and leveling up. And the fact that it's so open means that you can defeat Margit when you're level 100 if you wanted to.
Yeah. And it's crazy because there are people who are staying like level 0. Like, but because you have certain armors and certain medallions, it actually pseudo raises your level. So you're technically like the base level, but you're really like level 300.
Oh my.
I've seen
But
people
you can't
do
tell.
level 1, no armor, no nothing, completely naked with the starter sword, no hit runs. And all they're doing is just they've memorized the patterns and they got the rhythm completely down, so they don't get hit for the entire game. There's a guy, Dino, I think, where he's doing I might pronounce that wrong, but he's doing every single Dark Souls game, no hit.
Oh, I've seen this.
Go. Yeah, exactly. He's amazing, and it's just.
And I would love to have them on this. That would be wonderful to get there. I'll have to reach out.
I was good at speedrunning, Jesus.
It's insane the stuff that they do. And there was recently a kind of Dark Souls, Elden Ring specifically, what's the word, anniversary type thing. So on Twitch Rivals, they did a bunch of different speedrunning competitions and things, and it was just amazing to see. It's really impressive stuff, and yeah.
That sounds impressive.
Do people think that summons are like easy mode? Because I use jellyfish summons when fighting things, and I don't think I would have been able to kill Margit without them.
Yeah. No, I'm the exact same way.
Yeah.
I think people are mocking that now. I think that used to be the opinion where summons are just, you're not even playing the game, or especially if you're using
what do you mean I'm not? They're in the game.
They're in the game, yeah. I think people have changed their minds about that, and they're like, literally, it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. Whatever helps you make it fun, do that, you know?
And see, that's the same argument for cheating in single player games. Like, hey, I played this for $60. I paid $60 for this. I might as well have fun. Like, it's not like I'm harming anyone.
Yeah, I always think that mods and stuff like that, and also pay to win stuff, if it's single player and you're not like messing up anyone else's time, there's no harm in that.
Well, pay to win
Assassin's
is
Creed Valhalla.
kind
You can
Well,
buy
that's what I was
broken weapons and stuff in the item store in an Assassin's Creed game to make the game easier for yourself if you're struggling.
Yeah, but it's a slippery slope if you're like the whole pay to win thing, because like I remember seeing on Black Flag that you can pay to automatically collect all of the map fragments, all of the treasure maps. You can pay to automatically collect all of the like many different collectibles around the Caribbean. If you didn't feel like getting them to 100% it, you can just pay and then they'll automatically collect and go to your thing.
That's interesting. It's like they're taking what would be a mod and allowing people to do it, but in a way that benefits them. That's clever,
Basically.
actually, I think.
I mean, what is it? Forza Horizon 5 has an ability to buy the map. And what it does is it shows you every single collectible on the map.
Oh, wow.
To make it easier.
Including the barn finds?
Even the barn finds.
Yeah. I think that
now you're
kills the
thinking
joy
about
of it. But, yeah.
Well, yeah. But
for people who want to do that, then...
I mean, like, what if they work 2 jobs, but they want to get that trophy, but they literally just don't have time?
Yeah.
I mean, fair.
Plus, I think it's included in, like, the digital deluxe edition. So...
Yeah. Speaking of barn finds and Forza Horizon, our interview with and our profile on Ferraris Online comes out next week.
Next week, cool.
Yeah. So I know you were interested in that.
Yes,
so
yes,
that'll
I
be
was.
fun. But talking about like slippery slopes and stuff, how do you guys feel about locking innovation behind patents? So the loading screen for Tekken 5 had an entire mini game where they could just it was like a first person shooter in a spaceship, and you would just fly around shooting things while the game loaded in the background, and then you would press a button to launch the actual fight. They patented Namco patented it, and no one could use it but them until I think 2005 or 2015, one of the two. People could finally start using it in their games, and then not long, well, with Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, now the Nemesis system is completely patented. So no one could use a system even remotely like the Nemesis system, and even Warner Brothers has stopped using it. So, and by the time the patent's expired, no one's going to remember it exists. So, how do you guys feel about that?
I think that copywriting your specific implementation of it would be acceptable, right? Like nobody else can do a spaceship specifically, but like they could still do other mini games. Like, did they patent the whole idea of doing mini games in the loading screen, or was it just specifically the spaceship mini game?
Yeah, so that's actually Crazy Taxi did the same thing. They patented the machine for Crazy Taxi, and whenever the first Simpsons run, I think it was Simpsons Road Rage, came out, it was almost identical to Crazy Taxi, but in the Simpsons universe, and they got sued over it just because it was the same concept with Simpsons characters. Like, obviously the city, the map was different. Obviously the cars were different. The characters were different. But because they had the same navigation style, because they had the same concept of gameplay, it was still considered copywritten by Crazy Taxi.
So does that mean Call of Duty can be sued by Medal of Honor because it's another first-person shooter in World War II?
No, because they had...
Yeah.
Right? I think the Valorant CSGO I can see because the gameplay is almost identical. But like, I remember
Overwatch
Call of
TF2.
Duty and Modern Warfare being different in the beginning, but I could be wrong.
Where is the line between acceptable
Yeah.
differences? They struggle
Yeah.
with in music. They struggle with that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Poor Ed Sheeran. Well, I don't know. Poor Ed Sheeran. He may have ripped people off. I don't know, but he's
Well,
getting sued
like-
left, right, and center now all the time.
The thing is like there
Taylor
are...
Swift too.
But have you guys ever seen that video? I think like I can't remember which musician it was, but there was a guy who sat down on like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that and said like, "Hey, give me 4 chords and I can play any song." And the dude played like any song with a G, an E, an A, and a C or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's true. A lot of songs use very similar chord shapes and structures, but that's just because, music is kind of math in a way. And like they sound good, like strung together. And that's not the fault of the person who also wants to use that 035 or whatever that Smoke on the Water uses. Like you can still use it, but you can make it sound different. Like Creedence and Clearwater, whatever that band name is, they did it clean with a little bit of reverb and made like a chill song. But what if you just like put it down to like drop A and played it like Slipknot? It could be the same chords, but to the average person's ear, it wouldn't sound the same.
Yeah. And it's the same thing in so many genres. I mean, you've got the jazz underpinning. I forget what it's called. You might know the jazz underpinning chords. There's a word for it. And you've got the drum and bass drum track. Always has to be the same for it to be called drum and bass. That sort of rhythm, that speed, it has to be the same. Otherwise, it's not drum and bass. And so it's just there's stuff like that. Things aren't going to sound similar. So like with games and copywriting games and innovation and stuff, where is the line between that and can people use loopholes and get around it? What would you have to do different?
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard that you have to change at least something in order to make it completely different. But then again, it's seeming more and more that what I was told as a kid is completely changed. Or if, who knows, maybe it was completely wrong to begin with. And it was just their interpretation of a loophole that wasn't really there. If that makes sense.
You think intention matters? Like, what if they're doing it specifically to try to copy them? Or what if they're doing it because they were inspired by it and want to use it because they were inspired rather than just try to do a cheap ripoff, right? Then how would you? Yeah, how would you know?
Yeah, how would you know?
Put them on one of those lie detector things.
Yeah, what'd you say?
Were your
what?
intentions good?
The day before.
Oh.
That whole trailer, how it was shot for shot of Resident Evil 4's original trailer.
No.
Well, it was
And,
Resident, The Division,
Call of Duty Modern
Call of
Warfare
Duty.
1.
No, that's
The
terrible.
posters were the posters were homages to The Division 2 and The
Same
Last of Us
font,
Part
Just
1.
same font as the
Same
last
font
of
as The Last of Us, like down
See.
to the grit and detail of the letters were the same as The Last of Us. Like it was,
Yeah. Like, if there was one similarity, like, it's kind of hard to do a poster for a game in post-apocalyptic New York because buildings are tall and you want to use perspective. So I would understand if their poster looked similar to The Division because they're both post-apocalyptic games taking place in New York City. And New York City is always just going to kind of look like very tall buildings with
But go to
very narrow
Brooklyn.
streets.
Go to one of the boroughs, go to Liberty Island, or, you know, there's so many other things that you can do, so many other places than, you know, downtown Manhattan.
But it's iconic.
You're iconic, okay?
Thanks. I'm really not. Like,
No, I'm just laughing at looking at the PS4 cover art for The Last of Us Part 2 versus the day before.
It's pretty
It is.
it's pretty blatant.
It's dead accurate. Good copy, man.
Oh.
yeah, and isn't there like no game behind the day before? Like, the more people have looked into it, there's just like nothing there. Like,
Well,
it's kind of like a shadow.
You
They're
know-
speculating that it's I can let you go, Ryan. Kyle.
Oh, I was just looking at the website. Add to wish list. It just takes me to the Steam homepage. Like it
Yeah,
was taken off
'cause
Steam
they-
or something.
They've
Yeah, 'cause they take
delisted
it
it. But what people are speculating is they're using The Last of Us, or not The Last of Us, The Day Before's popularity to prop up and promote Prop Hunt, or not Prop Hunt,
Prop night.
Prop Night, which is essentially a prop hunt kind of game. But after every one of their big day before news reveals, where they reveal something that doesn't really have anything to do with the game, they will just be like, look at this thing that we're adding to Prop Night. And Prop Night actually exists, while the day before has barely even seen any kind of gameplay besides that one shot of barely alpha gameplay, and it was supposed to release like 2 months ago. So it's like that it's a big conspiracy now.
But why a prop hunt game? That kind of fell out
Because it
of
was-
popularity back in like 2019. Like, nobody
Because
cares
it's
about
quick,
that anymore.
easy, and, you know, cheap to throw out.
I'm going to Google Trends right now.
Prop night's from 2021. Also, the only reason I knew what you were talking about is because I'm looking at the game developer's website
Oh yeah.
just to see what they're known for. And so far, it's nothing.
Hey
I-
Perry, did you need to go or?
I can say another 15.
Okay, another 15 minutes and then we'll call it.
Cool.
So, yeah, I remember the first prop night or the first prop hunt game that
Gary's Mod.
we'll see.
Wow.
I wasn't on PC during the popularity of Gary's Mod, but I remember Prey, like the Bethesda remake of Prey.
Mm-hmm. That's a good game, by the way.
They did a big prop hunt mode in multiplayer with that. That looked a lot of fun.
If you haven't played Prey before and you like kind of like Bioshock-esque games, I really recommend Prey. It's such a good game. It's like a hidden gem because it was just kind of ignored when it came out, but I think
Not
the
the
story is
Bethesda
very
one.
interesting. Yeah, no, the Bethesda Prey did not get as much traction as it deserved. Like, not as many people talk about it today. Like, it
Oh, well,
was
maybe
not
not
a very
today, but
It was not a very popular game when it came out. Like it got good sales, but it didn't get the recognition I think it deserved. I think it deserved to do better than it did.
Yeah, I've not heard of it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who haven't heard of it. It's such a good game. I definitely recommend checking it out.
It's $30 on Steam right now.
30?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, 27,000 reviews for all very positive. And then on Metacritic, I mean, of course, it's pulling up the movie. It's all rating 82%, 79, 84. So, I mean, it got very rave reviews.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it wasn't as big of a game as it should have been, is my point.
In
Like it should have gotten more public
Maybe, yeah.
traction. More people should have known about it because, I mean, Perry didn't
remember
know about it.
The few GameStops that I've worked at its release, that it was all people talked about for a while.
Well, I mean,
Maybe that's why, like, I'm having a hard time believing that, because in my bubble,
Yeah.
like, it was very widely talked about.
It was not very widely talked about at all in my bubble.
and I've heard
Did you-
nothing about Callisto Protocol, which has, I think, about the same amount of reviews as Prey. I just pulled it
Callisto
up.
Protocol was just a bucky
That's a
breaking
hot
mess.
mess express.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Everything is mixed.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
that,
you know what else
that
was
looks
a
like a cool
hot
game.
mess? You know what else was a hot mess on launch was Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh God.
Oh my god. Yeah.
You know, you're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
No, you're breathtaking.
That's still one of my like.
Okay, yes, I am
despite
breathtaking. Thank you.
despite what happens
Putting
with the
myself-
game's launch, I think that is one of the like best things to ever come out of E3 ever.
Oh, yeah.
And of
Before
course,
they
it's from
completely
Keanu
crumble.
Reeves. Like, well, isn't it coming back?
What?
Yeah, but Microsoft's not going to be there. Sony's not going to be there. Nintendo's not going to be there. And without the major players in the console market, I mean,
Wait, I thought it was coming back full swing this year.
no.
Dang.
I don't know. how
They've
to
all
feel about that.
started doing their own.
Xbox
Independent
Developer
things.
Direct, Nintendo Direct, and PlayStation State of Play. So
Well, and Xbox has their own entire like conference in Mexico City every year.
Oh yeah, that's right. No,
So like, what's the point? You know?
I just happened to look at Cyberpunk to see if there was any update recently. March 1st, it was verified on Steam Deck.
yeah, I saw
if
that
it
too.
runs like a steaming pile of poop, how can it run on a Steam Deck?
See, I played it recently because I kind of missed the launch of it, and then I played it. It had a little bit of a resurgence on Twitch, and I don't know why. But I played it then, and it was pretty much flawless. And I was confused. I had no idea what anyone was talking about. But I think it just goes to show what we were talking about earlier about kind of releasing when things aren't ready. And because of its devastating release, I think that's fair to say, people kind of forgot about it or lumped it into bad game category and then moved on.
Yeah.
And everyone just forgot about it after that.
I mean,
Which is a shame.
Well, so Cyberpunk
Wasn't it the
had
anime though?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
anime Edge
that's
Runners
what it
is what brought the and if you I don't even watch anime, but this was such a good show. Like I just recommend watching it.
People
Like,
have said that, yeah. This was before
Yeah.
that though. I think people found out that it had fixed its issues and they started playing
yeah,
it.
and
again.
it has. So with Cyberpunk 2077, I followed this very closely from the moment it was announced back in 2012 is when the first trailer came out. And they kept saying coming when it's ready.
Which
but
is not true.
what happened, it's not like the developer's fault, the state of the game. It wasn't ready yet, but
Death
so
threats.
many people they did the first wave of like real like teasers and announcements like 2 years too early. And people just got so unbelievably hyped for the game that the shareholders and the higher ups at the company were just like, just release it.
Yeah.
I'll buy it anyway. It doesn't matter if they're not. We're going to make our money. And that's pretty much, in my opinion, what happened. Because it happens all over the gaming industry. You see
yeah.
it time and time again. Just like,
Yeah.
oh, they'll buy it. We'll fix it later. We don't have to worry. Like, if Cyberpunk came out during the era of the game having to be complete on disc and there's nothing they could have done about updating it afterwards, it would have been finished. But they can just release patches afterwards and fix it. And, like, personally, I played the game on a PC with a 3090. I only had one game-breaking bug, And it was where nothing was taking damage. Like, I was shooting the enemies were shooting me, I was getting hit by cars, I just wasn't getting hurt. That was the only bug I ever encountered. I didn't encounter any of the weird rendering things. I didn't encounter any of the weird, like, cars clipping up and down through the ground, or like NPCs loading in as they walk past you. I think the majority of the bugs happened on last-gen consoles. I do not think Cyberpunk 2077 ever should have released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I think that was a huge mistake. The reason they did is because...
the PS4 copy.
Yeah, the reason it did is because there are so many people who have those consoles. I believe the PS4 has an install base of almost like 100 million people. So why would they not release it there? But though that console came out in 2013, it is time to move on. Let it go.
Yeah.
Like, it is holding all of gaming
I
back.
think it was time for him to move on.
Yeah, and they still sell it brand new, and there's still games coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to let last gen go. Like, I feel like this is the longest we've ever held on to the previous generation, and like, I understand why.
No. The PS2, the last game that come out for the PS2 was FIFA 13.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, I was like 8, so I don't remember this. Okay.
So
In
like
2013, you were 8?
Well, I was 8 when the PS2 was in like its prime. Like, I never really paid much to like the original Xbox versus PS. What was the Nintendo competition of that area?
N64.
N64?
Or no, it was GameCube.
Was it GameCube?
GameCube.
Yeah, okay. I never even played GameCube before. I've never touched a GameCube.
It looks like a little toaster.
Yeah, it's just, it's a cube. Like, it's the GameCube. But yeah, my rant about Cyberpunk 2077 is basically, the game should not have been out on last gen, and they should have waited at least another 2 years before releasing the game, because the story is good, the content is good, the gameplay, I think, when it works, is good. But the problem is, gamers just kind of play something once, and if it doesn't work, or if it's not fun, and they don't vibe with it immediately, they refund it on Steam because they only have 2 hours to refund it, and then they just like never touch it again.
I wish I could refund Cyberpunk, but I have 70 hours in the game.
See, I
was partially wrong. I was partially wrong. The final game for the PS2 was FIFA 14, and it was made in 2013.
Okay.
But repairs stopped being made by first-party engineers in September of 2018. Sony was still making having PS2 official repairs done by 2018.
I mean,
which is wild.
We don't want to talk about PS3. The last game that was made was in August of 2020.
I mean, yeah.
For the PS3.
I guess that sort of update and maintenance is better than what other things have been doing. So Destiny 2, for example, people are always annoyed that they kind of scrapped off a lot of the story that you needed and all of the stuff that they paid for. And it's kind of, as a new player, it makes no sense anymore.
I'm still mad.
I have a strategy
I
guide. I have the strategy guide for Destiny 2 that is completely obsolete because they scrapped. Now, I can understand, a live service game, just adding new content, making, strategy guides obsolete. Fine. Okay. But whenever you take out the entire story completely, just so that you can get to the newest content easier, it's just like, why?
Wait, hold on.
They didn't change the tutorial. If they changed the tutorial and didn't introduce you to all of these stories, and then, they're actually not there.
Exactly. Like the tutorial, if I'm not mistaken, is the same. And then all of a sudden at the very end, it's like, oh, now you're here, but you can't finish this story that we just teased because you should have played sooner.
Yeah.
Wait,
should have played it before it came to Steam. No.
I'm confused. So what you guys are saying is the original campaign for Destiny 2 is just not there anymore?
Yeah, it just doesn't exist.
Why?
Yeah, why? Exactly. That's how people feel.
I played the game. I finished the game.
There was this much
when it came
content
out.
that was cut out.
Why can't they
That's
just
like
do the
3
thing
pages.
where you choose what to install?
Yeah.
Like,
That would have been
there's other
fine.
games just like, do you want to install the first chapter? Do you want to go straight? Like, let us choose.
Yeah,
You
Halo
made
Infinite.
it. People.
Halo Infinite's
people-
completely separate, the multiplayer and the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people put their time and effort into making these stories. So are you just going to say like, oh, awesome. You're, 3-4 years of development has served its purpose. Let's move on. Goodbye. Tough crap. Hope you weren't attached to the work you did. It's time to do something else. We're going to put something else out there. Like,
Pretty much.
Does it ever come back? Like when I heard Lightfall was bad, actually. Let me look at the reviews.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Everyone is ecstatic about Lightfall. I've not looked at reviews, so maybe that's different. But the people
Oh,
that
it
I've
is
spoken
mostly
to,
negative on Steam.
Why would
Oh,
I
no.
pay $50 for a game that went
Maybe.
free?
Maybe, just maybe, the reason it sucks is because they want you to play it on PS5 because Bungie's a Sony studio now.
Ooh.
But I don't think it sucks in terms of like performance. I think it sucks in terms of like it's just not good. That's
No,
what
but you know those PS5 exclusive quests? Maybe that there are plot holes that cause all of this that are only explained through those exclusive quests.
See, if that's the case, I fundamentally disagree with making a game partially exclusive to a platform when it released on all other platforms as well.
I mean,
Like
look at
you were
Hogwarts
retroactively
Legacy.
screwing at, like you were retroactively screwing people who bought it on PC and Xbox out of content that they kind of, they bought the game.
Yeah, that's like
They
Hogwarts
should
Legacy.
be
There
able
was
to
an
play it.
entire like haunted house mystery quest, and then the Avengers. There was an entire storyline with Spider-Man that was locked to the PS5, and it was cross progression, if I'm not mistaken. So like, if you owned it on PS4, and it was either cross progression or cross platform. So if you owned it on PS5 or PS4, you couldn't take your character if it was Spider-Man over. It was stupid. But yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, there's one more thing I want to talk about really quick. We don't have to spend that much time on it, but I just want to get that out with this week's episode. There was like a NVIDIA GeForce driver that leaked some file called CS2, Counterstrike_2.exe, that leaked through some files on Steam. And so I don't know if there's going to be like a big Source 2 update to Counter-Strike Go, because if Kyle probably knows that like Half-Life Alyx runs on Source 2, and so they might just be updating Counter-Strike to run in the Source 2 engine.
If it's not
Or is it
Half-Life
literally-
3, I don't want to know about it.
Well, Counter-Strike is still insanely popular as an esports game, which kind of blows my mind because it's like, what, 15 years old or something now? But
Yeah,
people
they're
still play it
probably doing
religiously.
this. They're probably doing this to fight Valorant at this point. Because I mean, look how many people are like going into Valorant over Counter-Strike after all this time.
Yeah.
Because it's just something new.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, it's just something new. That's probably exactly what it is. They see that CS:GO is like X number of years old, but Valorant came out, in 2020.
And still getting updates and expansion drops and
yeah,
I just
and
don't
Team
like
Fortress
Valorant.
2's getting updates again. So who knows? Now that they have a console like the Steam Deck, they're probably going to start releasing more games.
no, it's clearly just a port of CS:GO onto Source 2.
Okay.
I just looked
But
into
that's
it.
still something big.
Yeah, I mean, it means, oh, woohoo, cool. But we can also talk about Sandbox next episode if you want to. I'll just leave that as the ending.
All right.
Stay tuned. We'll end it on a cliffhanger here. What Sandbox? Guess you're just going to have to wait to find out.
And it's not spelled the way you think it.
Aha.
I'm on the edge of my seat, personally.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
No.
Neither do I.
That's what I thought.
It's only him.
All right, guys. Well, this has been Extraordinary Gaming's first video podcast. And so I'm Caleb Boudreau. I'm the editor-in-chief of an Extraordinary Life.online and a gaming writer. And this is Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan, or Release Radar, and you're pointing at Perry on my screen.
But not
Pointing at
on
Kyle on mine.
but
Just
not
say
on the one that's
like
being
that.
recorded.
You're just like, this is Ryan. I'm like, no, that's not. That's Perry.
That's great. You got face blindness. It's common. It's more
Maybe.
common than you think.
Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Ryan, Perry. Sorry, Perry. You grew a beard since the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
Your room looks a lot like Ryan's. That's so weird. But
Inspired by the aesthetic.
You got the banana in the background.
So he's Ryan, release radar on YouTube and a video creator. This is Perry,
I'm Perry Carl on Twitch and a streamer.
and this is Ryan.
I'm Ryan or Release Radar.
Oh wait,
on
no.
YouTube.
God damn
What
it.
are you doing? I'm so confused. I broke you.
I'm sitting here waiting to say something. He just goes, Ryan.
Ryan, Perry, Ryan again.
All right, round 2.
This is Kyle.
Kyle, also known as Space Knot.
Oh,
We good? Do we have it? Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good job,
that's
guys.
good. And just remember, everybody makes mistakes like that. Good God.
Mostly kids.
And if you ever need someone to talk to and don't have to live in all of this shame, you can join us on our gaming Discord. The link is on the gaming portion of the website, and you can find us here every Wednesday. And see you soon. Okay, now we can.
I think we have to open. That's the
was
opening
rough.
for the podcast right there. Just like, wow, Perry, you grew a beard since we last saw you, and then that's the quote, and then it leads into the episode.
Oh shit.
I'm still recording.
Oh, so am I.